Our baccalaureate speaker today is Mr. Joshua Crane. Mr. Crane is the incoming head of school at the Stony Brook School. He will become the school's 6th head of school on July 1st, 2013. Mr. Crane is a graduate of Vanderbilt University, where he received his BA in English. He holds a master's in philosophy from the University of Glasgow and a master's in education from Covenant College. For the last 8 years, Mr. Crane has been head of school at Central Christian School in St. Louis. Under his leadership, the school has gone from 155 students to its current enrollment of 300 students. Prior to leading Central Christian, Mr. Crane was an executive with a software firm in Nashville, Tennessee. Joshua has been married to Jennifer for 15 years, and they have 4 daughters, Rachel, Rebecca, Ruth, and Naomi. Please welcome Mr. Crane.
Thank you, Dr. Reason. Well, good afternoon to you all, underclassmen, faculty, staff, parents, board members, and alumni. It is great to be with you today. My family and I look greatly forward to joining you in a month's time. And to seniors, hi and goodbye, right? We have about 20 minutes here together in which I hope to impart to you truth. Something that I pray will make your life richer and deeper as you go on your journey. And the good news is the Word of God is like that. You can hear something from it in an instant be changed for the good, forever. May it be so today. What if I told you that if you listened to me today and put into practice what I was saying, that your life would be 1,000% better than if you heard what I said and rejected it? What if I were to share with you something today that would make your relationships better? Something that would help you make better choices in life? Something that would help you identify danger and avoid it? No, this is not an infomercial or a high sales pitch. I am actually very serious. And what I'll advocate here to you today, you will need to pursue and acquire all of your life. Now, when you hear the word wisdom, or think of a wise person, what do you think of? Perhaps Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings with his long flowing white beard and robes? Or maybe the Oracle at Delphi, where you get obscure messages from the gods that tell you what is going to happen to you. These examples sometimes reinforce the stereotype that wisdom is mystical or for a privileged class, but nothing could be farther from the truth. Wisdom is available for the asking. And if the Bible is to be believed, then you want it. Because in the Bible, wisdom is described as more profitable than silver, with a better yield than gold. She is more precious than rubies, and nothing you can desire compares to her. Wisdom is able to pull down strongholds and promote long life. So let's talk about what wisdom is, why it's important, and how to get it. And I must share with you, before we go any further, I am indebted to a sermon series by Tim Keller on Proverbs in 2005, which I highly recommend to all of you. First, what it is. Proverbs chapter 8 says, I, wisdom, dwell with prudence, and I find knowledge and discretion. The fear of the Lord is hatred of evil. Pride and arrogance and the way of evil and perverted speech I hate. I have counsel and sound wisdom. I have insight. I have strength. By me kings reign, and rulers decree what is just. If you've ever watched Sherlock Holmes, the movie, TV show, old or new, you will know that Sherlock is no ordinary fellow. He walks into a room that is turned upside down and goes to work. You and I would look at that room and say, what a mess. But he sees clues. He notices the mud on the floor and notes that its hue looks awfully like Madagascar and red clay, and therefore deduces that the person must have been out of the country recently. Or he notices the toothbrush tilted toward the left side of the sink, indicating the person that they are currently investigating can't be the killer, because the gunman had to be right-handed. The words used in this passage that we just read, associated with wisdom, connote the ability to notice distinctions. In other words, wisdom gives the possessor the ability to peer into what is really going on in life and to see what others are not seeing. Wisdom gives its possessor the ability to see things as they really are. But not only that, wisdom gives its possessor the ability to plan as a result of seeing things the way they are, along with the strength to carry those plans to completion. A good definition for wisdom for us today is competency with regard to the realities and complexities of life, or, shorter, skill in the art of godly living. When a person has wisdom, he or she has insight into the way the world works, and as a result is better able to navigate through life. In saying this, I've basically answered our second point, why is it important to have wisdom? But let me share with you what this looks like in daily life. One of the most important characteristics of human beings is our ability to make choices. God has not created us as robots, where we thoughtlessly go through our days simply taking orders from heaven. No, we make decisions every day that have no small impact on how our life turns out. And in this life, there are some decisions that are cut and dry, easy, and should be able to be answered in a split second. Should I cheat on this test? No, you should not cheat on the test. Should I sleep with my girlfriend or boyfriend before marriage? No, you should not sleep with your boyfriend or girlfriend before marriage. These should be easy because God in His Word has made it clear how you should act. And if you've not mangled your conscience through repeated unrepentant sin, your conscience will tell you that also. But I need to let you in on a little secret. Most of the decisions that you make in your daily life do not have a Bible verse that you can consult, so that you can declare with confidence that Haggai 2:14 says this, and therefore I'm going to do this. And I'm talking about big questions. Like, should I marry this person? Should I transfer to a college closer to home? Should I pursue this career? Should I stay in this job or should I move out of town? Should I join this practice? Should I go into business with this person? You see, a lot of times all the choices before you are morally allowable. It's not like, should I be a doctor or a cocaine smuggler? These are major life questions. All the options are good. Which one should I take? Let me give you an example. When I accepted the job to come to Stony Brook, I chose it out of a range of options that were before me. I had applied to run other Christian schools, all of whom were doing great things. They were all good, allowable choices. Which path should I take? My process on deciding was to fast and pray and seek the wisdom of people who knew me well and had been through this process in their lives before. God did not reveal it to me in a dream or write it on a wall. I didn't turn in the Bible to a page that mentioned the ocean or sea on it and thought, oh my goodness, it must be Stony Brook. But a clear enough picture emerged that Stony Brook was where God was leading me. It wasn't a terribly stressful process. I wasn't overwhelmed because God had taken me through situations like this before. I trusted Him in the process of seeking His wisdom about what to do. Now, in ancient Israel, they had what was called the Urim and the Thummim, and we know a little bit about how that worked. Kings would have a big decision before them, and they would go to the priest who possessed the Urim and the Thummim. It was kind of like casting lots. So the priest would draw out the sticks or whatever they were, and if you got the longer one, then you would go this direction. If it was a short one, then God was leading you in this direction. We say, well, that's what I'm talking about. A holy coin flip. God bless this quarter, and if it's heads, we're going this way. If it's tails, we're going this way. Some of you have been so dependent on your parents, they make all your decisions for you. And up to a point, that's okay. But if you go to college next year and you call up your mom and say, hey, there's some people going to shoot baskets in the gym at 4 o'clock, can I go? Your roommate is going to look at you rightly and say, what is the matter with you? And unfortunately, there are some parents who want their children to be that dependent on them, but God is not one of them. He wants you to be like Him. It's not that you become so independent that you say, I don't need anyone's advice. Proverbs calls those people fools. But God wants you to be the kind of person who has the greater infrastructure to make good decisions. The kind of decisions that promote health and life, not only for you, but for those around you. You see, the problem with a coin flip or someone telling you what to do all the time, it doesn't promote growth in your person. But wrestling through decisions, seeking wisdom, builds it in you so that you become increasingly useful to God and the world as you become better and better at navigating life. If we are in agreement that wisdom is a good thing and that is worth pursuing, then the question is, how do you get it? There was a man thousands of years ago named Agur who asked the same question. Like many people, Agur was able to look around and figure some things out. He was a man of intellect and an observant individual who was trying to put the pieces together of how life worked. His education was outside of the covenant, which meant it was likely secular. Yet in his pursuit, he was thwarted in all his accumulated learning, and his powers of human reason came up frustratingly short. His petition is rather jarring, and it is chronicled in Proverbs 30, where he states the following: I am weary, God, and worn out. Surely I am too stupid to be a man. I have not the understanding of a man. I have not learned wisdom, nor have I knowledge of the Holy One. Who has ascended to heaven and come down? Who has gathered the wind in his fists? Who has wrapped up the waters in a garment? Who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name, and what is his son's name? Tell me if you know. Agur begins with humility, which is absolutely key to obtaining wisdom, and confesses that despite all his learning, he was missing something significant. He says, like I am an animal, I have not learned wisdom. At this point, we might be tempted to say to Agur, stop being so hard on yourself. You're getting on okay, relax, have some herbal tea. But Agur is making a fundamental point here that is not about false modesty or feigned ignorance. He is saying that you can have all the learning you want, but if it is not rooted in its original source, the God of the universe, then you can't claim wisdom in the biblical sense of it. You see, it's like claiming citizenship in a country without having gone through the proper process. You may dress like a citizen of that country. You may even speak the language of that country. You may even act in a way consistent with its cultural norms. But when any official rights are conferred, you are left out. Or it's like being outside of Yankee Stadium when there's a game going on. You hear the roar of the crowd. You may question someone on their way out about what's going on in there, but you're not in there. You don't know if it was a home run or a great defensive play that people are cheering. Both examples represent incompleteness, and as a result, it's ultimately frustrating. But Agur has shown the way out of his questions. As they turn from a crisis of knowing to a crisis of relationship. Did you catch that? Agur says, who has ascended to heaven and come down? Who has established the ends of the earth? Surely this is the only person who has all of the wisdom. And conceptually, he's right. Scholar Henry Blocher said it this way: if the whole of reality comes from one wise sovereign Lord who has ordered all things, reality is all of one piece. Nothing is independent of God, and nothing can truly be interpreted independently of God. End quote. Humanity can know absolutely only if they know comprehensively. You see, you have to see the whole field. You have to see the whole picture. You want to walk into a room and know what's going on? You want to know why you're here and what life is all about? Agur is asking, how can you possibly understand who you are and what your purpose is if you don't get who he is? It's impossible. So how do we get to know this person who knows everything? Centuries after Agur wrote his verses, there was a conversation in a home between Nicodemus and a Jewish rabbi who was a leader of his time. Nicodemus was a Jewish rabbi who was a leader of his time, and a new rabbi who was causing a stir because of his teaching. Nicodemus came to this new rabbi and said, Jesus, you are pretty wise. Your teaching's pretty good. I would like to know a little bit more. In their discourse, Jesus makes a statement that had to be startling to Nicodemus, who as a rabbi had certainly read Proverbs and was familiar with Agur's questions. Jesus says, no one has ascended into heaven except he who descended, the Son of Man. In this statement, Jesus answers all of Agur's questions. He is the one who gathered the wind in his fists and the waters in his garment. He is the one who established all the ends of the earth. He came so that you might have a relationship with God. He came so that you might learn the mystery of all mysteries, that God himself came down from heaven and died on a cross for you so that you could know him, so that you could understand how life works, so that you could navigate life skillfully. 22 years ago, I was sitting in a seat just like yours. And the friends sitting with me at that time would certainly be shocked to know that I'm standing here speaking to you as the next headmaster of the Stony Brook School. My teenage years were marked by a pervasive lack of wisdom. But unlike Augur, I was not willing to say, I don't know. In fact, I thought I had a ton of wisdom. And my life was characterized by mishap after mishap, disappointment after disappointment, unhealthy, broken relationships, and I was a very confused and angry young person. And then something happened to me. I was in my dorm room my sophomore year of college on November 9th, 1992 at 2:30 in the afternoon. I was on the phone with my mom because my choices had led me to a dark place that I didn't see the way out of. I called her, and I admit that I had to admit to her the place I was in and what I had done. And she implored me to cry out to God and confess my need of Him. I did so, and my life dramatically changed at that point. There were a number of things I stopped doing, and then there were several things that I started doing. One was reading the Bible every day. The other was going to God, to routinely asking Him for wisdom and understanding about who He is and how the world He created works. The book of James says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without fault, and it will be given to him. Over the course of 20 years, God has continued to reveal deeper and deeper understanding of His Word to me and His world. I can promise you that the peace that comes from being able to navigate life skillfully is better than silver and gold and jewels and anything you can desire. Make wisdom your best friend. Pursue her and find the deep satisfaction that she brings. God bless you all.